All right, we're back here on Is It Prophecy here on Israel National Radio. Again, email me, messiahhour@gmail.com. Go to YouTube, type in Messiah Hour with Ari Lewis. You'll see a lot of great episodes.
That's the elephant in the room. And we're not pointing fingers, okay? We have to be realistic and look at our generation. Every generation is unique. And we are, in many ways, the most unique generation that has ever existed. Because we are the generation that's known as the Ikvata de Mashiach. We are the heels, the feet of the Messiah. We're at the bottom of a structure. If you look at all of time as a human-like structure, meaning the beginning with Adam to Noah to Abraham was the head of the structure. And then from the head to the bottom of the torso, that is the Moses and the prophets, and then beginning with the legs, that begins the period of the Mishnah and the Talmud down to the bottom. We're at the feet. We are at the feet of the structure, which is the good news and the bad news. The good news, we're almost there, and it will occur in our lifetime. The bad news is, well, feet often get very calloused.
Right.
Thick. And other things as well. And we are the soul of this time body, which I've referred to as the Adamic time body. It's a timeline. We are the soul, S-O-L-E, but we're also the S-O-U-L. We're the soul of this whole structure. And it comes with all the complications that come with the feet. And simply the callousness, as we see that expressed in the arrogance, okay, of both the Erev Rav and the Erev Katan. We cannot mince our words here, okay? Once again, there's a spectrum. There's the really far left of the Erev Rav, and then there's the right of the Erev. The same thing with the Erev Katan, with the religious leadership. It's a spectrum. And you got the far extreme of the Naturi Karta. But one of the important points that I want to emphasize here, and I deal with it extensively in my classes that I give and in my books, and that is that the Erev Ra, the Erev Katan aspects of it, even in the mainstream Torah communities, the aversion and even the fear of utilizing the maps, models, and metaphors from the new sciences, that is what is preventing the Messianic era from coming in. Because those maps, models, and metaphors, they've always been a part of the Torah. We lost it. It's the lost language of the Torah. And it's these new sciences that were revealed into the world according to the prophecy of the Zohar. They are given to us to utilize, to look into our own Torah. We have no problem using glasses that were created and manufactured by non-Jews. We're using these maps, models, and metaphors, for example, as I mentioned, holography, fractal geometry, certain concepts in quantum mechanics. Okay, they're very simple things to understand, but they have to be studied and they have to be integrated. Okay, why should we have any aversion to utilizing these maps, models, and metaphors as glasses, as lenses, to see and look into our own Torah? This is the language of the Torah. These are not external parts of the Torah. The seven chachmas, the seven natural sciences. This has always been an intrinsic part of our Torah. The sages have always talked about them, but there's a big difference between traditional science and the new sciences. It's not your mother's science at all. For anyone that's familiar with any of these things, it's turned the whole scientific world inside out, upside down. And of course, anything can be used to promote, support atheism. Once again, everything has a klipa in the world. We have to emphasize on the holy parts and to extract those and take those out. And so, now, going back to Hollywood. Hollywood, in many ways, is a poor man's prophecy. Okay. and the sages are clear about this, even though prophecy is no longer existing, but they made it very clear. God still speaks to us. He just uses different avenues. Okay? Yes, he doesn't have the big holodeck that the prophets had, and relative to us, it's like looking at an old black and white screen television. But the messages are still here. You just have to know how to look for them and how to separate them out and peel off the klipa. Peel it off. So in Hollywood, there are profound maps, models, and metaphors that have come through. It's unconscious. They don't know what they're doing. It doesn't matter. Okay? But Hashem is utilizing that vehicle, that medium. And the one example here that you just mentioned, Ari, since almost everybody has seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, there's one scene in there that we can use to give us a little fractal, a fractured fraction peek at what we are in for what is referred to as the Messianic era. At the end of the movie, the bad guy, the Nazi, right, when the light of the Shekhinah, okay, is released and revealed, it comes out through its judgment aspect, its aspect of retribution, and the Nazi melts. His physical structure, down to his atomic level, is being transformed, as it were. Well, the same type of thing in terms of transformation is what the Messianic era is all about. There's much confusion, unfortunately, even among Torah leaders, of what is the Messianic era, what is the Messiah, what are the twin Messiahs, what is the Josephic Messiah, the Davidic Messiah, what is Olam Haba, and there's different kinds of Olam Habas, and what is the resurrection, where does that fit in with all of this? Well, it's really all laid out. It's really very, very, very simple. Can't go into that now, but simply, the Messianic era is the way station. It's the interface between this reality and the higher dimensional reality, aka Olam Haba. In order for this lower dimensional reality to transform into the higher dimensional reality, well, this reality is going to be radically altered. That includes our consciousness as well. And I mentioned briefly, when Mashiach comes, you won't be pointing your finger at Mashiach. You'll be pointing your finger at yourself, but it's not going to be the self that you used to know, because it's going to be reunited with all the other Jewish consciousnesses, because in truth, Klal Yisrael is one brain. It's one living consciousness. And the nations of the world in their rectified state are going to be 70 rays of light emanating out of the collective body of Israel. And in truth, nothing will be new. There's nothing new under the sun. This is the way it was originally in the Garden of Eden before the fall. Adam was the essence of the Jewish people, and they were emanating out of him 70 lights. That was the essence of what would become after the fall, the 70 nations. The 70 nations, yes, the Goyim. We're talking about rectified, purified Goyim. That's simply the inside of the Jewish people turned inside out. When they goes back inside of us, and we become, again, the original Adam, as we said, who's Mashiach? It's literally Adam. Literally, not figuratively, not in any kind of borrowed sense, but quite literally. And so we have to understand it's not just like a utopian world is going to come in where there won't be any anti-Semitism, all the Jews will be back in Eretz Yisrael, and there'll be a good, nice, holy, kosher separation between Jews and non-Jews. It's not going to be that way at all. And this is part of the problem of trying to read the words of the prophets to apply to cosmic, geopolitical events that are taking place. Those verses are mathematical-like formulas, and they're referring to higher dimensionality. It's basically the Torah form of higher dimensional mathematics, and which is the true language of the Torah, which is the language of the Kabbalah, specifically Lurianic Kabbalah, as transmitted down through the disciples and the disciples of the disciples. That is our true language. And part of the problem of the elephant in the room, particularly with the Arab, it's a given with the Arab Katan. They're not thinking Jewish. They're thinking like Greeks. But unfortunately, there are elements within the Torah community, even the leadership, that are unknowingly are thinking, processing like Greeks. We mean in a simple linear fashion, and this is A is not B, B is not A. That's not the way the inner Torah operates. And because we lost the true language, which also is the whole problem of Jewish philosophy. Jewish philosophy is the attempt to look at this reality from the eyes of this reality. The Kabbalah is looking at this reality from a higher dimensional perspective, which is known as, in the Kabbalah, that's the realm of Atzilut, of pure emanation, which is a higher dimension, which I refer to as the fourth dimension. We live here in our three lower dimensions, which is known in the Kabbalah as the three lower worlds. That's why the God of Israel is a four-digit alphanumeric code. The Yud, the Hey, the Vav, and the Hey. It's not three, it's four. There's a dimension here that's missing. It's here. We're embedded in it. It's like a parallel dimension. And parallel dimensions is no longer the stuff of science fiction. This is now mainstream modern physics. That we are coexisting with parallel dimensions right here, right now. The Torah has always been maintaining this. And Olam Haba is simply when the missing coordinate, the missing fourth dimension will be reintegrated into our three dimensions, or actually it's the other way around. When our three-dimension reality here, three dimensions, three directions, right? You have height, width, and depth, okay? And when these three aspects that fell out, this is what fell out from Gan Eden, this whole reality. It got turned inside out. When Mashiach comes, all reality is about to turn outside in. This is what's about to happen. It's not just things are going to get nice down to the molecular structure, to the atomic structure. Everything is going to be transformed. And this is what we have to be prepared for. If you think, the World War III, and however it will manifest, Gog and Magog, and with Ishmael and whatever, okay, it's horrible. We have every right and responsibility to be in great fear and trembling of it. It's nothing compared to when reality itself begins to transform, which means no one will be a casual observer. Our consciousness is going to transform. And it's a haval, it's a shame that hardly anyone in the Torah community today, and let there be if there's exceptions, and if you know someone, I'm happy to hear it, that are talking this way. We are not preparing ourselves without these basic models, which is the innate Torah. It's called holography. It's called a different name in Torah. And fractal geometry is called different names in Torah. But it's easily accessed now because anyone can learn about these things. And it's all in pictures and graphics as well. And so this is how we best can prepare ourselves for what is imminently about to occur.
All right. Now, again, we're speaking with Rabbi Bakst from cityofluz.com. You go to cityofluz.com and check out the Rabbi's 4 books he's written about this topic. You're listening to Is It Prophecy here on Israel National Radio. Also simulcasted as Messiah Hour on YouTube. Type in Messiah Hour with Ari Lewis, and you'll see this show and a lot of other great shows. Rabbi, let's talk a bit about leadership because you were alluding to that, and I won't repeat the words per se because they were a little harsh, but a member of the White House staff referred to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in non-glowing terms, basically saying he was not a leader. A lot of people say we don't really have true Jewish leadership, both in the religious and secular world. Some people say we don't have leadership at all in any form. I want to get your thoughts about that and how that relates to the Messianic era and Mashiach coming in general.
Yes. Excellent but difficult question and painful one. It is a painful one. If we look around the world, there's no leadership, period. Where are the great leaders of the past? The great generals, the great orators, the leadership of even, an Eisenhower, even of the Kennedys and so forth. This is very important to observe this, because we look around in the world, and that can give us a basis to look at ourselves as the Jewish nation. There's no leadership out there in the world anymore, and there's no leadership in the nation of Israel. This should not shock us, because we know that the nation of Israel, the religious world, is so fractured, and new splits keep happening, and new arguments, and everyone is, pointing their finger at the other guy, and so forth. Well, instead of fretting about and bemoaning the fact, there's actually something very messianic in this fact, that there's no more leadership. There's no more heads to the body, but there is the body. In other words, we are being forced, certainly in the last 40 years, of developing group consciousness, of working through groups. And it forces us as individuals to come together with one person in the group, for example, being the right arm, one being the left arm, one representing this organ and that organ, okay? And this is actually the precursor for what is about to occur, because the only true leadership is Mashiach. It's the messianic consciousness that is the true leader and who we need to be looking at. And so it's, from this perspective, it has been divinely orchestrated that there is no leadership, and we have to. It doesn't mean we don't go to the Torah leaders with our halachic questions and get their advice on personal matters and so forth. But quite honestly, when it comes to these matters of the Messiah, no one's talking about it. And if they do, it's only in passing, or it's a little bit of this or a little bit of that. It is so complex. Who even knows? When I was teaching 20, 30 years ago, I was one of the first people publicly even referring to Mashiach ben Yosef. Okay, now it's out. The cat's out of the bag. People talk about it. But still, there's so much ignorance about this complex subject, which is at the core of Klal Yisrael. We are the two Messiahs. And I'll tie this in with what I just explained about. The Erev Rav, as is explained in the mathematical-like structure of the system of the Kabbalah, the Erev Rav is the cleap of the backside of the Josephic Messiah. Yes, the Josephic Messiah has a backside too, just as Abraham gave birth to a Yishmael and Isaac to an Esau, and then his grandson, Amalek, okay? We have to accept we are infected with a virus, a spiritual virus. It's the Erev Rav. That is really the backside of the Josephic Messiah. The Erev Katan, that is the backside of the Davidic Messiah. Yes, even the Davidic Messiah, which is not these are not just individuals. These are whole processes, and they are whole entire groups. And as I explain in my books, anyone who wants to join the army of Mashiach ben Yosef can do so. We can all manifest different aspects of the messianic process, because it's happening through us on the group level. And that's one of the reasons why specifically we don't have leaders. And we have to be very cautious when we go to the leaders, particularly with these types of questions, because there is an elephant in the room. And unfortunately, unless, I wish it wasn't this way, but the facts are, unless a Torah scholar, who's already a Torah scholar, in Gemara, in Halacha, in Musar, okay, unless that individual has been instructed, initiated into the language, the true language, the lost language of our Torah, which is Lurianic Kabbalah, which is all based upon the Zohar, which is based upon the Holy One himself, does not know exactly how the end game is going to play out. It cannot know, because if it knows, then it's not creating something new in the world. It's like watching reruns. And this element of chaos is actually what is about to give birth to a completely new reality. And this is called the Torah Chadashah. It's referred to in the scripture in the Midrash. It's a new Torah. It's our same Torah. But it's going to be the Torah that Adam had before the fall. It's going to be the Torah that Moses and the nation of Israel had before the fall with the golden calf. That is the Torah that we are on the precipice about to enter into. And the truth is, it's already seeping in. It's already here. The Messianic light, for those that can see, by utilizing these specific tools, the light is here. The organuz, the hidden light, the Oro Shel Mashiach, it's all seeping in here. And in fact, this, if we, it takes another time, a whole other explanation for this, but all the events that are happening in the world, we have to know it's all divinely orchestrated. Everything is coming together exactly how it needs to, but we cannot know exactly how it's going to play out. Reality is not just going to be peaceful and there won't be anti-Semitism. There won't be death anymore. The beginning of the Messianic era, the true Messianic era, and we're in part of the Messianic era right now. It's called the Josephic era. But we're interfacing now with the Davidic era. And when we are fully into the Davidic era, Bila Hamavet Lenetza, death will be swallowed up. There's not going to be death, disease, which means there won't be reality as we know it. This is what we must be preparing ourselves for. And the good news is, this is what we have to look forward.
Well said. Again, a great conversation. My guest for this program has been Rabbi Joel Bakst. That's spelled B-A-K-S-T. Go to Amazon.com, type in that name, get his books. You can read more about this topic. The show we do every week. You want to read more about it, know more about it, go ahead and do that again. Rabbi Joel Bakst, B-A-K-S-T. Go to Amazon.com. Also go to cityofluz.com. That's the rabbi's website, who has more information about this topic in detail. Rabbi, this has been a pleasure. Rarely do I feel so educated after doing a show. I mean, this is one of those times. Just great topic, great discussion that I really haven't heard before. So thank you so much for being on the program today. I really, really appreciate it.
Amen. Thank you, Ari. It's been a pleasure, and may the Mashiach come soon and in our time.
Amen. For sure. Love to see that, and we'll be in touch again. I really appreciate it. All the best. Have a great Shabbat, and we'll speak soon.
Thank you.